Hi, everyone. We're super excited to have you guys here for Frank Fridays. I have my inimitable co-host, Carlina Moeller of Art Frankly here.
Hey guys, excited to be back.
And we are pretty delighted because today we're going to be speaking with Emily McElwreath, who is an independent art advisor with the McElwreath Art Advisory, as well as newly and very excitingly, the co-founder of the Art Career podcast. So Emily is here to kind of impart some professional practice and, a few other little sound bites about her career in art. Hi, Em.
Hi, Ellie. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you both so much for having me. Ellie, anything you're involved in, I'm always thrilled to be a part of.
Thank you. It's great to have you as a cheerleader. So thanks, Em.
Great. Thank you, Ellie and Emily. It's so great to have you here with us today. So first question, what is one challenge that you welcome in your day-to-day professional life?
I think this is kind of twofold. I welcome two main challenges. One is a little simpler than the other. The first one is I don't think I've ever gotten through a full to-do list each day or every week. I always go to sleep or end my week with several things on my to-do list, and I feel lucky to be able to say that. I love being busy, so I welcome kind of continuing to action pack that list and hopefully, start with my organizational skills, getting better every day, trying to start, getting through that list. And the second thing, I think that this has really come to my attention, and it's been something that I've been working at over the past year, especially with the art career, and I'm going to be also soon to be adding an associate to my art advisory. I welcome learning about being a better leader. I think it's such a responsibility to be an entrepreneur, be someone's boss. I've never had an enormous amount of patience in my life, and the last thing I want to be is a nightmare boss. I want to advocate for the people that work for me or that I mentor. And, it's just really important for me. I mean, it's even something that I work with in therapy. It's so important for me to be able to take on this responsibility in the healthiest way, to have boundaries, right? But to also, continue to work on patience, pretty much.
I can relate to the first. My to-do lists that definitely carry over daily, weekly, monthly, but one must just chip away at them. All right. So where do you see yourself professionally in 10 years?
I'm lucky to say that where I am right now is a place I've always dreamed of being. I have a thriving art advisory and this podcast that my business partner, Morgan Everhart, and I launched a year ago has been extremely successful. We're almost done with season 1. I'm very excited to announce our season 2 guests later in the summer. So I would say in 10 years, I'd like to be doing the same exact thing I'm doing now on a much larger scale, and hopefully be on season 10 of my podcast and continue to grow my advisory, because they're both very much separate entities, separate LLCs. So to just kind of simultaneously grow each. And to, of course, as a woman, I think it's very important to own, I want to continue to make money and to be in a really wonderful place financially. I'm finally happy with where I am financially in my life, and in 10 years I want to be able to be doing a lot more and giving back a lot more, and it is much easier to do that with money.
And I kind of love the next question that we're going to pose, because through the Art Career podcast and certainly through your advisory practice, you have the opportunity to liaise with a lot of different characters in the art world, from different walks of life. So I'm curious to hear what you might reply to this one. But what is the funniest, strangest, or most bizarre art moment that you've experienced to date?
I can now say this with a laugh. At the time, I don't think I thought it was very funny. I was director of this goes back, I don't know, 7 years. I was director of communications and education at the Brant Foundation, and I always coordinated intern trips, right? We'd go to different places, and we went to Dia Beacon, and we had a private tour of Michael Heiser's North, South, East, and West, which, you know, are these enormous gaping steel holes in the ground. And usually you can't walk right up to them, but because we had a private tour, I took the interns and we walked up to the very edge, and I deal with an anxiety disorder and panic, and I wasn't thinking that was going to set me off, but I looked down and the vertigo was so intense. And I think it was the first panic attack I ever had that I was, even then I was laughing a little bit. I kind of looked around and I was like, so you guys, I gotta go right now. And I left my interns there with the tour guide, and I walked outside, and I took, 20 minutes, and I breathed. And in that moment, why I say bizarre, it's beautiful and bizarre and strange. I kind of said to myself, wow, like this is another example of the impact of art in our lives. And, physiologically, emotionally, psychologically, what that can do to a person. It was kind of just a strange example of that I appreciate very much now.
So, okay, next question. Dream art day with an artist, living or dead?
Well, this might sound a little cliche, but this is the truth. To spend an afternoon with Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe in Tompkins Square Park, and to walk around, in the late 70s, early 80s, and just experience New York during that time. And those two artists and personalities that, I hold in such high regard, one living and one dead, of course. But yeah, I would just, that's always been a dream of mine. And then of course, through this podcast, I'm able to spend time with artists and art professionals that I never thought I would be able to. And again, I feel super lucky to be able to have those, dream art days now, by doing something that I've always dreamt of doing.
Yeah. Well, keeping it in the world of the aspirational, what if money were no object? What artwork, whether it's a sculpture or a painting or even an installation, what artwork would you acquire and why?
I think in my darker, more dramatic days, I would have said Untitled Red by Rothko. And I obviously still hold that to be true. But these days, and anyone that knows me, especially in the past decade, to own a large Yuskevich would, that from the first day I saw her work, I was so taken by, first and foremost, the saturated colors. I've never seen anyone paint green the way Yuskevich paints green. It's such a rare and beautifully impactful element that she's added to the art canon. And I don't know. I 100% don't know if I'm ever going to be able to afford one of her works. Hopefully I will in 10 years. But I think, there's two paintings that come to mind, Scissor Sisters and Little Bedheads, where Little Bedheads really has that rich green that I fell in love with. And Scissor Sisters, it's the very famous painting of the three young women standing in a field together.
Amazing. Well, I could certainly see you living with and loving those pieces. And so we'll try to make it happen for you. We'll stick around. We'll circle back in 10 years.
Great.
Well, this has been really exciting, and I've quite enjoyed getting to catch up with you. Before we conclude and part ways, what can we look forward to seeing from you, Em?
I am going to make an announcement in a month or so about a new associate, younger associate that I'm bringing on board on my art advisory, which is going to be very exciting. And we're wrapping up season 1 of The Art Career. We're releasing, I think, 3 more episodes in the next few weeks. And then season 2, Morgan and I will be announcing our season 2 guests this summer. And I'm, really excited. And if you haven't listened, please give it a try. It's the Art Career Podcast. We have some, really tremendous guests on season 1 that I'm so grateful gave us a chance and agreed to be interviewed. So yeah, please check that out.
We are quite looking forward to it. Well, thank you again, Emily. This has been really quite great.
Thank you, ladies, so much. It's always wonderful to see you.